What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video review of the Dart Zone Destructor. This is a fully automatic hopper-fed dart blaster. Very similar to the Command Fire, if you remember this one. Let's get into the review. Included is the blaster itself, waffle head darts in the instructions. This blaster requires 6 AA batteries and are installed as shown. External overview of the Destructor, starting up at the front. No in-strike barrel lug. This is not a Nerf brand blaster. Above that, we have a front sling mount, which corresponds with the rear one back here. Underneath, we have a grip somewhere just to rest your hand. This doesn't have any other function and it doesn't move. Up top, we have another grip for our offhand. This blaster kind of demands to be shot from the hip, not really from the shoulder like a typical rifle. So this top grip allows you to shoot it comfortably from the hip, and it also moves down. Just a little bit. I don't really know why, because it only hides like an inch of space, and I've pinched my hand in there a number of times. When I'm running around, it'll collapse and then my fingers smash into the blaster. I don't know why it's collapsible, but I really wish it wasn't. Moving back to the hopper, which is the coolest part of this blaster by far. So to open the hopper, you push the orange button here and then pull up like that, which reveals the hopper unit, which is super cool. After you take the lid off of the hopper, the side also opens up, which makes it a lot easier to load in darts. So to load the hopper, you just get a fistful of darts and just drop them on in there, and they kind of find their way to the front. The blaster holds 30 darts inside of the hopper, which is a pretty high capacity blaster. The hopper design is very similar to the old Command Fire. This blaster's kind of a reskinned version of the Command Fire because the loading mechanism is so similar. So how the hopper works, up top on the door here, we have this accordion style like gravity fed thing, which is not spring loaded. And what that does when it's shut, it just presses down on the darts very evenly to get them to push in and load consistently. And I haven't had any feeding issues with this blaster, which considering it's a hopper fed dart blaster, that's really impressive. Hopper feeding ball blasters, that's a different thing, and that's somewhat easy by now, but hopper feeding darts is very difficult. And I think part of the reason this is so reliable is the redundancies they have everywhere. So the feeding mechanism has a conveyor belt in addition to these spinning little like teeth that run into the darts and these flappers that disrupt everything to make sure everything feeds really smoothly. And on top of all of that, they have this accordion style little pusher thing that pushes all the darts in very smoothly. If Nerf did this, they would have picked 1, maybe 2 of these mechanisms. Dart Zone has 4 different systems in here to make sure the feeding is smooth. And it shows because the feeding is really smooth. So that's an overview of the hopper unit. Again, the capacity is 30 darts. And after you have that loaded up and you're ready to fire, you can just shut the hopper door like that. Moving on to the grip, this is a flywheel powered blaster, and this is the rev switch up here, which is meant to be pressed kind of with your palm as you push down on the blaster. Then underneath you have a small trigger here, which is the actual firing trigger. This is different than the Command Fire because the Command Fire did not have a rev trigger, just had an on-off switch. I prefer using a rev trigger. That is highly subjective. That's just my taste. For some people, maybe an on-off switch will be better for you. But for me, I like that, so I consider that to be an upgrade over the Command Fire. However, the grip is completely horizontal, so there really is no holding this like a rifle, like up against your shoulders. The ergonomics kind of force you to shoot it from the hips because trying to look down the sights on this one and shoot it like this puts your wrist in a really weird position. The ergonomics just kind of demand that you shoot from the hip down low. Compare that to the Command Fire, which has a more vertical grip, so you could totally shoot it like this, like a more classic or traditional blaster. Not better or worse, just different. Continuing the overview, we have the battery tray over here. You take out the 2 Phillips screws and then you install your 6 AA batteries. And being a flywheel power blaster, of course, this blaster does not work at all without the batteries installed. And in the all the way back, we have another sling mount. That is an external overview of the Destructor. Let's see it fire. Starting with the included Dart Zone waffle head darts. Now shooting white modulus or elite darts. Just whoa, all over the place. Operating the Destructor was lots of fun. I did not have any jams and malfunctions with this blaster. You do have to get used to the loading mechanism because it's definitely different than loading up magazines. You drop in handfuls of darts, so you kind of have to keep your ammo stored like that. If you have a loose pile of ammo, it's actually not any faster to load this than a magazine. If you line up your darts or you have them assembled in clumps that are all facing the same direction, it's actually very fast. You can load 30 darts in just a couple seconds. But if you're loading from a pile or a bin of darts, it's barely faster to load this up than a magazine, which I find pretty funny. To compare this blaster to others, I put the Destructor Destructor up on my chronograph. With the included Dart Zone waffle head darts, I achieved an average velocity of 94 feet per second. And with Nerf Elite darts, I achieved an average velocity of 89 feet per second, which is way above that 70 FPS norm. But at this point, this is pretty normal for Dart Zone. Most Dart Zone blasters that I've chronoed are shooting way hotter than normal Nerf blasters, so maybe shooting about 90 FPS is normal for them? I have not calculated an average or a par for Dart Zone, that's just an estimate. That is the objective information I can provide on the Dart Zone Destructor. Now to my personal opinion. Overall, I'm happy with the Dart Zone Destructor. Above average firing velocity, 30 round capacity is pretty solid. The price point on this is pretty competitive as well. So overall positive thoughts. To buy or not to buy totally comes down to the hopper unit. Do you want to use this or magazines? But that is not a question that I can answer for you. Only you can answer that based on your play style, how you approach the game, the people that you play with, the blasters that they use, and really the duration of your event is also going to be a large factor here. Loading a hopper like this has both pros and cons compared to magazines, and it's really just coming down to, do you want magazines or do you want a hopper? Because this really is just a hopper fed rapid strike, and the rate of fire is pretty solid. The firing performance is also excellent, but it has some weaknesses. If you need to quickly shoot off 200 rounds, you can't do that with this blaster because you have to take such a long time to reload. So if you blow off 30 rounds with this quick rate of fire, it doesn't last long, then you're vulnerable, and if you don't have another blaster, you're going to have to hide and reload. Compared to a rapid strike where you blow your whole load, then you just drop that magazine, load in a preloaded one, you're ready to go in just a second. Imagine reloading the magazine that you're using in your rapid strike every time you wanted to reload instead of grabbing a different one. That's kind of what you're doing here. So the Destructor's not going to be right for everybody, but I think it's an excellent addition to the market, and I think it's a good upgrade over the Command Fire. My thoughts on the Destructor versus the Command Fire. The firing velocity is pretty similar, but the rate of fire out of the Destructor is noticeably higher. Quicker rate of fire is often a good thing, but then you're reloading more often because you dump your whole load super fast. The capacity is the same at 30 rounds. The other biggest change in my opinion is the rev trigger. I really like rev trigger, so I would pretty much always use the Destructor over the Command Fire. The Command Fire uses an on-off switch, and it's easy to get to, so you can toggle it on and off, sort of like a rev trigger, but it's just not the same. But the grip angle is also different. If you don't like firing from the hip, the Destructor is going to be really annoying for you to use, whereas with the Command Fire, you can kind of shoot this like a regular blaster. The rate of fire and the rev trigger are the two biggest changes in my opinion, other than cosmetic stuff, which is all just nonsense. I don't think either one's better or worse, it's just totally your opinion. I would lean towards the Destructor pretty much every time. I can't see myself using the Command Fire. I've had it for 2 years. I haven't used it in a war, but those are my thoughts for anybody who is between these two blasters. So that's my review of the Dart Zone Destructor. If you're interested in purchasing one, I will put a buy link in the description box below. That's it for this video review. Thanks so much for watching. As always, bros, stay tactical.